Seth Kaplan is managing partner of Airline Weekly. Seth, listen, our viewers and listeners know what they're paying for gasoline for their cars. I've got to imagine that the airlines are just as happy about their prices at their pump, so to speak. Are we going to see ticket prices continue to fall because of low air fuel costs?
Yeah, the declines will probably slow down somewhat, Brian. I mean, this year we've seen them really tumble, and the airlines are trying to get their hands around that because they realize that at some point, that's going to flatten up. And so, if the fuel prices stop falling, and I mean, they can't go below zero, and if the fares keep falling, well, that can only mean one thing, and that would mean lower profits in 2016 than in 2015. So they're really trying to get their hands around the supply growth, but that's basically what it's been so far this year, kind of a race to the bottom between falling fuel prices and falling airfares. So far, happily for the airlines, the falling fuel prices have won the race.
Seth, when I read this story and when we talked about it in the morning meeting, my first thought was, where the heck are they falling? I fly a lot, and they seem still very high to me, and the airlines all seem completely full. Load factors, which is the fancy way of saying the percentage of seats that are taken on a plane, those are up, aren't they? I mean, the airlines are still filling up their planes.
They are, and they're filling them on average, though, Brian, with people who are paying less. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it depends on the market. So, if you're sitting in Seattle or the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, those are two areas where you have these intense competitive battles and where people are, where airfares have dropped by double digits. Other places less so. But overall, you know what it is? You just see fares that a year or two ago, it didn't matter what you did. Even, holiday travel, you tried flying on a different date or making some inconvenient connection, you were going to pay a lot. Whereas now it's kind of creeping back in there where, maybe not the exact seat that you want is necessarily going to be very cheap, but you can get a good deal again. And that wasn't necessarily the case a few years ago. And I'm talking, Brian, not just about, if you're flying Spirit, but even flying Delta, United, and American. Some very low fares out there right now.
Seth, though, let's talk about what is the root cause of this, and that's capacity expansion. I mean, this is exactly what a lot of the analysts were concerned about when fuel prices hit rock bottom prices. We had Southwest, we had Spirit Airlines expand capacity tremendously. That caused them to start discounting prices. That caused the bigger carriers to then respond aggressively with discounted prices. That capacity expansion won't go away overnight. So the root cause will be there. Who's in the toughest spot? Will we continue to see low airfares because that capacity is simply not going to evaporate overnight?
Yeah, and ironically, Melissa, it's the airlines that, the legacy airlines, Delta, United, and American, sort of blame for what they see as excess capacity. Airlines like Spirit and others, the ultra-low-cost carriers, those airlines are feeling some pressure quite simply because, when fuel is this cheap, the legacy airlines can profit with lower airfares. Everybody's growing, and you're right, Melissa. I mean, in the end, this is supply and demand economics. You put more supply into the marketplace, supply of anything, prices fall. That's what's happening with airfares. Well, now you've gotten to a point where, American Airlines is out there with fares in some markets, yeah, not all, Brian, but some markets of like $40. Well, where can Spirit come in under $40 to get somebody to fly Spirit, which they might not prefer in terms of an airline? Now, to be clear, Spirit's still one of the most profitable airlines in the world. They're doing fine, but that does put pressure on them. A year or two ago, they were making money coming in at price points that were much lower than prevailing airfares and, getting some people to fly them who might not otherwise have done so. And now that's just becoming harder to do.
Seth Kaplan with Airline Weekly. Seth, it was a pleasure. We'll see you in the new year. Take care.
Likewise. Happy New Year, Brian and
You
Melissa.
too. Thank you.